Well, I'm Cullen Haynes, and welcome to Live with Cullen Haynes, LawLive, episode 81, if I'm not mistaken. We've been doing this for the last 3.5, 4 years now. It's absolutely crazy. And my next guest has had 8 years in the legal profession and an absolute dynamite in the WHS space, is a senior associate at ABLA. Can you please make very welcome my dear friend, the one, the only, Miss Alana Rafter, beaming to you live. How are we, Alana? Thanks for joining.
I'm great to be here. Great to see you.
It's great to have you on. I know we were talking offline that, this show's all about bringing the person on, and I appreciate you devoting your time the next 30 minutes to talking about all things Alana and everything you're up to at the moment.
It's wonderful to be here. I'm excited.
Absolutely. And I've got the title of Psychosocial Hazards, the new legal minefield. We will touch on that, but let's ask Alana, what is happening in your circle of influence? Tell us the story, Alana. What's the latest?
Well, there's been a lot of advocacy work since I've got back this year. I've already been to the Industrial Relations Commission in Parramatta 2-3 times in my first week or so. But it's a lot on my feet at the moment, going to lots of tribunals, but it's great stuff.
I love that. And for those tuning in, obviously I've got a few connections here and there, but what is it you do in a nutshell? Like if I was in an elevator, I'd say, Alana, what do you do? What is it you actually do?
So I'm an employment and industrial relations lawyer and advocate. I'm part of an amazing team at Australian Business Lawyers and Advisors. So we help with everything to do with employment law and the employment relationship, and also go into the territory of enterprise bargaining and compliance for WHS. And we exclusively represent employers and business owners. So I only work on that side. I don't go to the employee side.
Ooh,
so immediately distanced myself from some of the people tuning in. They've immediately tuned
in. Okay, interesting. Absolutely. Well, it's good to know. And if we had to encapsulate that in some nice film titles, how would you go about doing that if you had to explain your life so far and what you do?
Yep. Easy. Now we're going to completely disregard the plots because they have nothing to do with my life. But number one will have to be the reader. I think that's going to resonate with all the lawyers, and probably you, Cullen, too. We read a lot day to day, instructions, cases, emails, but also, particularly in my area of work, I'm going to say the devil's advocate.
Ooh, an underrated lawyer movie with Keanu Reeves and Al Pacino from the 90s, if I'm not mistaken. Absolutely.
And that's because I have to always be testing, my client's argument and see if we can get it stronger, find a weakness, and what better way than to step into the shoes of the other side.
Absolutely. Well, definitely reader and the devil's advocate. Definitely my weekend is now set. Thank you, Alana. And if you are tuning in, we are live at the moment. LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, TikTok, X. So if you got any questions for Alana, please ask them in real time. I'll bring them up. I'll beam you up. I'll give you some spotlight. And thank you if you're re-watching, re-listening on the podcast. Give us a cheeky follow as well. In terms of what sparked your interest in employment, industrial relations law, take us back David Copperfield style. Alana, where did it all begin?
Well, I still remember the day back before I chose my specialization, thinking, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? And what I wanted to spend my days doing was something that ultimately mattered to everyone involved. Whichever side of the bar table you are on, I wanted to make sure that it was important to my clients. And I could think of nothing better than employment law and industrial relations. We're looking at people's livelihoods, and it's just always satisfying to work in because of that.
I think so. It's we discount it and we have these lofty goals, and it's great to journal and talk about all the things we want to do outside of work. But it's the one thing we do that we share the same set of carpet with people other than our family, right? Every single day. So it is an important part of life.
Definitely.
Even if you like those people or not. You've built a strong reputation in WHS and work health and safety and whatnot. And what drew you specifically to that place in particular? Was it like what you thought you'd be doing, the advocacy? Like, what is it about it that you love?
Oh, it's a good guess, but I actually got drawn to it early on because of my dad. So back in high school and before my dad retired, he was the occupational health and safety manager for Catholic education officers in Sydney. Wow. So his domain concerned looking after WHS in all the different Catholic schools throughout the Sydney Archdiocese. And
yes,
he absolutely loved his job. He just loved going to it, doing what he did. Never heard him complain. He absolutely loved it. And seeing someone enjoy their work that much gets your attention. And that's what drew me there. But then when I actually got to practice, you realize safety, no one's going to dispute it's so important in every workplace. Everyone should come home safely from their work. No one would ever dispute that. But when you turn to the law, it starts to get a little bit complicated. So to be a part of that journey to help businesses actually understand and comply with their obligations, it's a fantastic role. And that's what keeps me engaged and wanting to keep doing what I do, just to help them.
I love that. And shout out to your father there. I want to ask a question and unpack something that you said. Why is it so convoluted? Is it just easy to dismiss that the law is complicated? Like, why isn't it hard and fast that we can expect the same understanding from reality as opposed to the law, do you think, Alana?
Oh, we could get into a good argument about this, and it seems to stem from people thinking more statute, more legislation will help everyone. And we see that go wrong in other areas of law as well. But we're just trying to cover all bases. And my clients aren't lawyers. They don't want to sit through and read lots of legislation. But alas, that's the system we currently have. That's where they're putting all the obligations and duties. And worse still, when you try to come up with a code of practice regarding a hazard or a particular duty, everyone has their 2 cents about what it should look like, how it should be written, and suddenly a 10-page guide turns into 20 pages, 200 pages, and that's just too much. So it's all coming from a good place, I believe.
I'm sure it is.
Why I have a job.
No, absolutely, and God willing, indeed. But like we talked about psychosocial hazards. We said, this is kind of some of the things that we will be covering. So as advertised on the box, but psychosocial hazards have been a big thing, I would say, since 2022. Obviously, we can argue that they've been there a lot longer, but it's come into the public zeitgeist, and the right to switch off and things like that. What's changed, and why should businesses and employees care, do you think? More businesses is who you look after. I'd like to get your take on it.
Oh, well, the biggest change that all businesses need to be aware of across the country is that every single state and territory now have express regulations about how businesses are required to approach risk management in their space.
Okay.
So it's no longer just up to a business to decide how they're best going to ensure the psychological health and safety of their workers and others. They now have factors they need to be thinking about, which include the formal procedures you're putting in, the work design. You need to be actively thinking about all these things. But at its simplest, what all businesses need to know, one control measure, such as Employee Assistance Program, EAP, that's no longer going to cut it to tick the box for psychological health and safety risk management. We need to be doing much more in that space. So know the regulations. That's the key thing.
Know the regulations. But what do you see as the most common mistake that businesses make, do you see, when they come to you? Or what is the mistake they could be blindly walking into, do you think?
The most common mistake is thinking it's not my problem. That psychological health and safety, it's not a big issue here. Nobody's reporting it. Or how serious can it be? Now, that's problematic because the law needs to see proactive action. You need to be taking steps to prevent before the injury even occurs. And you also need to have a system in place to respond to it once it occurs. So it doesn't matter if you haven't had a psychosocial complaint yet, you need to be identifying these hazards. And one of the most common is bullying. That's an example of a psychosocial hazard. So we've got to be making sure we're taking steps to minimize or eliminate so far as reasonably practicable from the workplace. Well, you've gone quiet on my end for a bit, but I trust I'll hear from you again. Alas, I cannot. Testing my lip reading. Oh, that was a bit of a slip there. Apologies, Cullen. I cannot hear you. I see you. You're moving a lot. No one told me about this psychosocial hazard of doing a live podcast and the technology failing and the stress that it causes. Not yet. Apologies. You have gone, Cullen. On my end, no audio.
Alana, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
There we go. I'm back. I'm going to write to StreamYard and say we had a mid-feed breakdown.
But what a triumph.
We're all good now. I'm beaming live on my phone, so it looks like we're back in action, but we are semi back in action. But thank you for being so gracious, everyone, waiting for us while we got this sorted. We were so rudely interrupted by the last breakdown that I didn't get to ask my mid question. What's the most important and powerful lesson you've learned in all the cases you've worked on so far?
Oh, I think one of the most important things I've learned, I don't even know if it's a lesson because I'm not going to bore people with all the legal stuff I've learned, but just learning the passion that people have for what they do. I work with a lot of employer associations, so organizations that represent a lot of members that work in different industries like aged care, early childhood education and care. And these organizations care so much about their industry, about ensuring that their members are heard, that in particular that the Fair Work Commission is having regard to their needs before they make decisions that will impact all employers in the industry. And that's just fantastic to work with people that share your passion. when those passions align in the IR sphere, you're effectively making friends for life. So I feel very privileged to work with the people that I do.
Well, talking about the people you've worked with, you were an associate to Justice Michael Walton back in the day. How did that shape your approach to the cases you've worked on and your advocacy today?
Oh, in so many ways. I think the first way is I got to see how judges write their judgments and got to assist with many of them as well. And so I've actively seen what judges think is great submission writing, very poor submission writing, great advocacy, people that probably shouldn't have stepped up in court, and everything in between. And just to really have conversations about what's working, what's not in that space has helped my own advocacy today. But even better, I got to see how all the processes work behind the scenes, like in the registry. So all the people that they're so dedicated to what they do. And a lot of the time it can feel quite thankless because litigants on the outside, we're not seeing all the work they're doing to make the wheels turn in the Department of Justice or in the tribunal that you're in. But that was fantastic to get that appreciation for what's happening there. There's a lot of people working incredibly hard when a case is filed and a case is run. It's not just the lawyers, it's not just the judge. There's so many more people that make it happen.
No, well said, well said. And during that time, has there been a particularly unusual skill that you picked up that you've gone, you know what, this has been my secret weapon, or that people don't know about you?
After working the court, you develop patience, a lot of patience. My secret skill comes from a former life before the courts, and that's in my acting days.
Oh my God. Oh, tell us more. Can we look at some movies you were in and some shows?
No, I was not a film star. I was a theater actor.
Oh, you were walking the boards.
So I did a lot of improvisation work back then. And those skills help so much, probably helped a little bit today. When things don't go perfectly as planned, the world doesn't collapse before you. You just learn to deal, adapt, and get on with it with a good sense of humor, hopefully. And that's helped.
I love that. I love that. I'm surely improv has helped you in other ways, like thinking on your feet, being able to rebut. Like you would have been a gun in debating, I'm sure. Like what else can acting and improv teach others?
Oh, the best thing it can teach you is I should say, have a good poker face.
Oh yeah, I like that.
When you're feeling very nervous, and I will still get the butterflies and feel some anxiousness before certain matters. And you're able to just sit there and make sure no one knows. You learn to just breathe and just get on with it without freaking out. So you just learn a lot of tools and strategies, which will help with anyone that has a stressful job, which most of us do. Different kinds of stress, but everyone's dealing with some stress day in, day out.
Always. It's always stressful. There's always something going on, let me tell you. But talking about stress, a nice little segue into the next question. And we're getting towards the end, everyone. So please put your questions in. What is one way you unwind after a particularly tough day in employment law?
Depends how tough it was. But one way I do like to unwind will be with cooking. Cooking a home cooked meal. Go-to will be pasta or a one-pot wonder job. And I know that's some people's idea of hell or nightmare after a long day's work, but I just find it very relaxing and fun.
No, I love that. And is there any passion projects you can share that you're working on, or any show? Are you going back to the theatre anytime soon that we can see you on?
Last night, I think it's too early in the year for the more creative projects to start, but stay tuned. Later in the year, I intend to return to pursuits like comedy again. That's always fun.
Oh, I love that.
But for now, I'm planning a trip. I'm going to go to Japan soon.
Oh, Japan is a fantastic place. Are you going to go to Tokyo, Kyoto, and Osaka?
Yes, all of those. But I can tell you, my planning is very in its preliminary stages. I have just bought the ticket and know those cities. That's about it.
That's it. That's the Golden Triangle. I love it. Well, ohayou gozaimasu to anyone watching. Arigatou gozaimashita, and looking forward to hearing back on how that trip goes. When have you booked it for, Alana? What time of year?
I'm going to be going in sometime around March.
Beautiful. I believe that might be cherry blossom season, if I'm not mistaken.
I've heard mixed reviews that it's just before, or I might just miss it or might just catch it. I'm like, well, we'll just fingers crossed and see what happens. I've heard contrary reviews.
No, no, makes sense, makes sense. Well, all the best. Have a great time. I'll catch up with you after March and we'll talk about it. Who has been, would you say, the most influential mentor for you and why?
Ooh, I think at this stage, at least one of them would have to be, and you've already said it, Justice Michael Walton. Having that
Shout out.
opportunity to work at the court was just wonderful because the judge really dedicated a lot of time to helping me improve my own advocacy, gave lots of
Yes.
feedback with writing, composing arguments, reasoning in particular. And so for someone to dedicate that time at that early stage of my career, that was wonderful. And it really has helped me a lot, even to this day.
Amazing. Oh, fantastic. Well, in terms of if you could change one thing about the legal system or workplace culture or HR, what would it be in your estimation, Alana?
Well, something I would like to see change in law is this perception that I've seen out there, and I sometimes see it in surveys or polls going around regarding what's the most unethical profession, what's the most unethical occupation, and it's really disheartening to see lawyer, the legal profession, sometimes be towards the top of that list because
Yes.
that's completely detached from the way I approach my profession, from the way I see others, and we all take oaths to be ethical. And so I would really like to just see that change over time because that doesn't meet or match my characterization of the law or my profession. Now I'm not suggesting any change. I have no ideas at this point, but I would like to see that change over time.
No, I used to be an old thing that we used to do at Macquarie. Like it was a graph of likability and trust, and we used to show our clients this. And lawyer, banker, broker, all those professions were down the bottom left hand side of this graph of likability and trust. For some reason, the accountant is all the way up in the stratosphere. People trust their accountant more than they do their spouses. They probably tell them more as well. Like it's just crazy. Like, I think we need to flip that on its head. Love your lawyer, love your broker,
Yes.
mate,
Yes.
love your banker a little bit, maybe. But what advice would you give young lawyers and HR professionals starting out in employment law today?
We've just had some new starters at our own firm today. I always tell them to make sure you ask the question, seek those opportunities. A lot of the time, the worst thing someone can say is no, but it's quite rare. If you say you want to learn a particular skill, you want to maybe discuss something with a more experienced member of the profession and meet with them for coffee, it's so rare for them to say, how dare you? No way am I going to do
No,
that.
of course they wouldn't. Come
You
on.
will be met with yes or an alternative in the majority of circumstances. And so I always encourage people to speak up, ask those questions, and chase the opportunities that you want to experience in this profession. You're building your career. You're an active participant in it. Don't just sit back and let people make the decisions for you.
No, absolutely. Value yourself and the
Mm.
contributions you make. Well said there, Alana. And look, I can't believe we got to the end of the stream. And thank you for bearing with us in the middle there, everyone. How would you like to be remembered when all is said and done one day, Alana?
Well, I think what I'd like, especially my clients and my colleagues, to remember me by as is someone that was trustworthy and someone that was passionate about what they do. Because I said it before, I really think it's a privilege to work with and help the clients I do and work with the colleagues I get to work with. We all enjoy what we're doing, and I do never take for light that I'm being trusted with these important matters. And it's been such a luxury, some of the things I've gotten to work on in my career so far. And if I can be remembered and continued whilst I'm alive to be thought of as those things, that would be great.
Indeed, indeed. And we'll bring up the bonus questions. Why not? How would you explain your role to a child if they said, what is it you do, Alana? How would you make it as simple as possible?
I do it very poorly and say something like lawyer, going to court, or with my 11-year-old stepson, I just say I'm going to work and he knows I'm a lawyer. He really doesn't have much more interest beyond that and doesn't want to hear it.
That's okay. That's honest. How would your friends describe you outside of work?
Or outside of work, I think they would say I have a good sense of humor, and my closest friends would say a dark sense of humor.
Oh, I like that. Very best as well. And this is a nice one. If you could give yourself advice at any age, what age would you go back and visit yourself, and what would the specific advice be?
I know exactly what I would do, and it wouldn't change the future or anything. It would just affirm a decision. I remember right before I made the decision to go work at the court, I had a little bit of doubt. I thought, oh, this isn't the common path. This isn't the common way one starts their legal career. It's not the linear way. Is it a mistake? Should I do it? I would go back and say, don't worry about any of that.
Not worry at all.
Seize the day, chase these opportunities. There is not one singular path. Now, back in my day, the uni story was finish your degree, do a clerkship, do a graduate position, try and get into a top tier firm.
Yep.
That's one path. There's so many others. And so I wouldn't be too hard on myself or tell myself to even worry about it. Pursue these different opportunities. You don't know where it will lead you.
No, well said, Alana. And where can people find you? Where are you hanging out the most? If they want to grab a coffee with you or otherwise, or get in touch, where's the best forum to do so?
Get in on the LinkedIn. Message me on the LinkedIn. Comment on the posts. I'm like you, Cullen. I love the LinkedIn.
Who doesn't, right? Come on. It's better than Facebook, Instagram, all these other pretenders. Everyone just wants to wish they were on the LinkedIn. Very good, Alana. It's been wonderful having you on here. We'll make sure that when we re-edit this episode, we'll remove that 5-minute silence in the middle. And good. I think this is going to be a valuable episode for everyone who tunes in, listens, watches, or otherwise.
Thanks for having me, Cullen. Appreciate it.
It's an absolute pleasure. There we go. And if you are a legend of law or know someone who is and you want to be on the show, get in touch. We come out every Wednesday on the Live with Cullen Haynes show, either on the LawLive for lawyers, Ledger Legends for the accountant and finance professionals, and Live with Cullen Haynes when we want to bring an all-round legend on the show. Thank you so much again for tuning in, everyone. And be sure to follow the Live with Cullen Haynes show wherever you get your podcasts. Bye for now, everyone. Make it count and take care. Hey there, Cullen Haynes here, Australia's leading broker for lawyers on LinkedIn, and here's why I want to talk to you today about my new book, The Laws of LinkedIn, 23 ways to find your tribe, build your following, and make 7 figures on LinkedIn. When I started this journey 7 years ago, when we built, myself and Andrew, my business partner, we built legal home loans from the ground up, the pain point for us was we were at a standing start. No one knew who we were. We had no money, we had no contacts, and basically we had to find a way to make our voice heard, talk to our tribe, the legal community, and build trust. And the only thing we had at our disposal was LinkedIn, which was and still is free. There's over 1 billion people on LinkedIn, and I wish when I started I had this book with me to guide me, because I basically distilled my 23 top leading hacks that we use to build our business to a 7+ figure, and I really want to get it out there and share it with you. So if you're back